Hey everybody, JB back with you once again for another episode of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Justice for All. We are on the final day of Case 3, Turnabout Big Top. And, well, I've been thinking a lot about this case in between recordings because I don't actually remember what happened in this one. And one thing came to mind that I completely glossed over during the investigation yesterday. I'm going to talk about it here with the music in the background. So, yesterday, kind of the quick recap here as we're getting started, we basically discovered two things. One, Francisca really wants to meet Edgeworth, kind of like we did when we first started being an attorney. And the other thing, more relevant to this case, is that there was this incident 6 months ago that was all about the lion in the circus named Leon. And apparently he chomped down on the head of the brother of the acrobat. So there's this acrobat named Acro, who we met yesterday, and he has a brother named Bat. I know, very original names. And Bat got mauled by Leon when he was trying to stick his head inside to impress Regina, who he really liked. And there were people in the circus who were basically saying all these things like, you know, I don't think he normally does that, you know, he's not trained to attack anybody, and he even looked like he was smiling when he did it, which is weird. And one of the things that I thought was really funny, well, in a weird way, was that there was this note that Acro placed in Regina's pocket on the morning of the crime. And we learned that Acro kind of has a bit of a grudge against Regina. I think largely because she is the animal tamer. She, you know, would naturally be looked at as not having done her job in a situation like that, but also because, presumably because she's very innocent and she was kind of a little bit blasé, for lack of a better word, about the whole lion situation. But the thing I thought was weird about this note, and I forgot to like talk about it last time, was that Acro wrote to the murderer. And this note was delivered prior to the murder that we are investigating here. So if this is all about Bat, then why would you use the term murder? I mean, it's like, it's not like he's dead. He's in a coma right now in the hospital. I mean, yes, he is a vegetable, basically, and he's on life support and all that. So I guess you can kind of justify that word because he's basically lost his, you know, his normal life, right? The other thing that I thought was weird was that this is setting up a meeting when the murder took place. The murder that we're investigating, the one that happened at 10 o'clock p.m. So Acro wanted to meet Regina out in the lodging house plaza. That is really suspicious. And I completely forgot to mention that yesterday. I didn't even think about it until after the video, and I was just driving around town. Yeah, this is painting Acro as really suspicious. Anyway, the other thing that's weird is that we know that the box that the ringmaster was slumped over has like a box of, or a bottle of pepper in it. And I'm wondering if that was meant to be the conclusive evidence, because we were suspecting that maybe the pepper made Leon sneeze, and that's why he chomped down, and why he looked like he was smiling, because we noticed Maya sneezed yesterday. So here's my theory. I think that the ringmaster was not the target. I think Regina was the target. And Acro somehow killed the ringmaster thinking it was Regina. But that would not make sense, though. Because, like, how would he mistake the ringmaster for Regina? Like, I don't know. Anyway, we'll find out what happens here. I'm kind of curious to see. I'm really excited to find out what happens. Good morning, Max. Oh, yeah. Good morning, sweeties. You don't seem like your usual sparkling self today. I'm always like this before I go in front of an audience. I'm working up to it.
Tee-hee! Don't get nervous, Maxie! Here, have a glass of milk!
Regina! Oh, she's attending today. I think this is the first time she's been here. How fabulous! My sweetie pie! My sweetie pie princess! You came to watch my performance today?
Of course I did! Mo told me that I should come and watch this!
Mo said that? I wonder why that is.
So what kind of performance will you put on today? Let me guess, you'll fly at the end?
It's not like that kind of show. Isn't that right, my sweeties? Huh? I think my sweetie pie princess doesn't... Yeah, she doesn't seem to realize what's going on, or even where she is. Yeah, imagine growing up in the circus where you think everything is a performance and you have no context of the outside world. That's... yeah. The other thing, too, why would Mo want her to see this? Does he want her to get exposure to the outside world, or is it some other reason?
Well, Max, it looks like it's time to raise the curtain. I'll see you later. Today I'm just a member of the audience.
Fabulous. Enjoy yourself out there.
Good luck, Max. You're the best.
Regina's different, don't you think, Nick?
Top of the morning to ya. Everybody, let's get ready to get stuck in legal limbo. How low can you go?
Momo.
Top of the morning to ya, Governor.
Top of the morning.
That's the ticket. Attacking the day starts with energy in the morning. The early bird gets the worm, but then again, worms lack higher brain function. Here, Max, I brought you a present. Have some milk.
I think he's got enough milk. Oh my! Thanks!
So how are you today, right?
Well, I've got the feeling that today I'm going to face off against the real culprit.
You mean Acro?
Oh, so we're going there. I wasn't... like, I didn't know for sure, but, like, yesterday, just because I feel like this is a trope in some mystery stories, I feel like they set up the whole Acro being in a wheelchair thing as kind of like one of those impossible kinds of alibi things where it's like, hey, there's no way he could have done the murder because he has to sit down. But now I'm beginning to wonder if that's actually just like a misdirection, like a red herring thing. Is he actually confined to the wheelchair? Oh man, there's so much to this. Huh? You think he did it?
Be careful. He's used to putting his life on the line. Literally.
He's got guts to spare. If all I've got to worry about is how thin the tightrope is, I'm used to it already. It just means I won't be able to press him like I can other witnesses. What are you gonna do then, Nick? I guess today we'll just have to do without our usual psychological warfare. Today we rely on evidence. It's the only way we'll get past Acro and to the truth. So does that mean we can't press anymore? You're right, but it's gonna be tough.
Anyways, I want you to make sure that Regina sees it all today. It's important.
Okay, so it sounds like he wants her to get some exposure to the real world.
Then she'll finally have to deal with the reality of what happened to her father.
Oh, yeah. You want us to make sure Regina watches?
Yes, that's why I brought her here to court today.
Wow, Mo is dead serious here. What's that supposed to mean?
She needs to know that when people die, they don't just become stars. I may be an old-fashioned clown, but I don't believe in people becoming stars.
Oh, and with that, we are going into court. Alright, 10 o'clock a.m. as usual. Courtroom number 2.
Court is now in session for the trial of Maximilian Galactica.
The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is ready, Your Honor.
Very well, Miss Von Karma, you may proceed with your case.
The prosecution would like to revise its previous theory of events.
What's the meaning of this?
We have discovered a new witness, or should I say a new eyewitness. One that saw Maximilian Galactica fly off from the scene of the crime.
Order! Order! I had a feeling something like this would come up.
Due to this revision, we are now prepared to explain how the defendant flew that night. An explanation the prosecution will present if the need so arises. In fact, my detective stayed up all night creating a mock-up of the scene on my orders. Poor Gumshoe. Yeah.
Very well, please call your witness to the stand.
Time to get to work, or shall I say, time to walk the courtroom tightrope. Oh, he's got 3 birds. Name and occupation. Ken Dingwing, but everyone calls me Acro. I'm employed as an acrobat at the Berry Big Circus. Where were you on the night of the crime? I was in my room that night. If you look at the map, or if you look at the map, you will see the witness's room is near the crime scene. My room is on the 3rd floor. The crime scene is below my window. The night of the crime, the witness saw something quite shocking. Would you tell us what you witnessed? Okay. I like how they allow him to bring the birds into court. But then again, I guess we brought a parrot into court in the first game, so... And she even testified. What I witnessed. It was just after 10 o'clock p.m. and I was resting in my bed. Around that time, I heard a large thump noise from outside the window. Then, a few moments later, I saw someone flying right by my window. It was Max Galactica. I always saw him from behind, but that's who it looked like. To be honest, when I saw that, I thought I was dreaming. This witness's testimony matches up exactly with that of the clown. If that's the case, there's very little the prosecution need add. All that's left is to explain how the defendant disappeared into the sky that night. Before we get that far, I'd like to cross-examine the witness. A foolish choice by a foolish fool who wishes to feel the foolish sadness of a sad fool. A man must know the proper timing for things, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Just like your old friend, Mr. Miles Edgeworth, did. You're not going to unnerve us that easily, Von Karma. Mr. Wright, do you have a problem with the witness's testimony? In the words of Miss Von Karma, may I quote yesterday's proceedings? There's no way that actually happened. Very well. You may proceed with your cross-examination. What I witnessed. Alright, I didn't really see anything here, that looked rather suspicious. Do we have, like, evidence that suggests that it happened, like, not right by his window? I want to say... Hang on a sec, not that photo. Where is it? This one? Yeah. I think we had pointed out that it was here, so if, like, his window is this thing, then I think that's fine. I guess that would be okay. I don't think that's anything particularly conclusive. I always saw him from behind. Is that, like, anything particularly contradictory here? I don't want to press him, although we do have full health. Time of death is 10:15. Hang on a sec. Just after 10 o'clock p.m. See, I feel like that's not conclusive. That's... I'm gonna see what happens when I press. You said that you were resting in bed. One would thus assume that you turned the lights off in your room, correct? That's correct. But there are safety lights around the outside of the lodging house. It's so bright, sometimes it can make it hard to sleep. If that's the case, wouldn't it be a good idea to close some curtains? I never really thought of that. I guess that means I'm off to buy some curtains. Haha, sometimes I do make myself useful in these chambers. Ow! The witness will proceed with his testimony. Okay, so we didn't get penalized. Okay, in that case, I'm going to continue pressing. I didn't want another situation like what happened with Mo, so I was getting really worried there. Your room is on the 3rd floor, right? Yes. And you said that you were resting in bed. That is correct. But you were still able to hear a sound from outside? I was indeed. pressing acro doesn't seem to get results. But maybe something was contradictory in what he said just now. Well, let's go with this. There is a huge contradiction with the testimony that was just given. If there's a contradiction, then prove it with evidence.
She's right. Let's see some evidence. Do you have any evidence to support your claim of a contradiction?
I wish there was a text log here because I already forgot what he said. Can we go back and look at that again? I can't go back. Crap. Okay, so we talked about the lights. Ah, man, what would be the... I'm gonna try this.
This? What in the world is this? Ow!
You just don't get it, do you, Mr. Phoenix, right? What don't I get? Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Okay, good. We didn't actually lose any health. Okay, let's do that again. Around that time, I heard a large thump noise outside the window. Okay. So it wasn't the time. Your room's on the 3rd floor, and you said that you were resting in bed. Okay. Okay, so was it about the noise? There has to be something wrong with this, right? I mean, why would we have the option if that there wasn't? Okay. So, are we supposed to prove that we couldn't? He couldn't have heard the noise? I don't see anything here that would be contradictory, though. Maybe the map? Like, this wouldn't really prove a contradiction, would it? Like, I'm gonna try the map. If we don't get this, then I'll... Yeah, this is not right. Okay. Let me continue pressing him. I'm wondering if this is one of those situations where I need to, like, do something else first. And if we need to come back there, we can come back there. Are you sure it was a human being? It could have been a mannequin or perhaps a large action figure. Well, setting aside the possibility of a mannequin, an action figure is plausible. You have no need to mince words with Mr. Phoenix, right? Testify to the truth and only to the truth, just as if we were there with you that night. I believe it was a human. Damn, I just strengthened his testimony. I wonder if Acro's statement jives with the facts. Okay, so we have another opportunity here. I'm gonna say there's nothing wrong. Yeah. So I'm beginning to wonder if we need to do some things in a certain order here now. Let's just keep pressing him. The light in your room was turned off then, right? That's true, I was going to bed after all. So with the lights off, you were still able to clearly see a human fly by your window. The safety lights lit things up enough for me to see. But honestly, there was only enough light for me to see the silhouette outside my window. Oh. It was the person's back, so I couldn't see the white roses on the front.
Did you see any of the other symbols?
I clearly saw the silk hat as well as the cloak wrapped around his body. I'm convinced that the person I saw was Max Galactica. The more I press him, the less results I seem to get. But maybe there was something fishy with his latest bit of testimony. See, what's hard about this is that I feel like we're contradicting, like, things that are not in the recorded part of the testimony. It's like this supplementary stuff. So it's kind of hard to remember what to go for here. I'm just going to keep saying there's nothing wrong. When did you start thinking that what you saw wasn't a dream? That's not important. I believe that the prosecution has done a bit of maintenance on the witness's memory.
Just to make sure, let's ask the witness. Ow!
Objection.
Sustained.
Don't sustain that. Acro must be lying about what he saw, right? Of course he is. Now the challenge will be to expose his lies in court. Well, put the pedal to the metal, Nick. Okay, so now we're back here. Okay, so I feel like the fishiest part of this is the fact that, much like Mo, he didn't see any white roses. I'm gonna try this. Let's try pressing this, and we'll present like the promo poster again. Okay, let's see what this gets us here. Uh-oh. Alright. It's somewhere here, isn't it? Yeah. No, that doesn't work. Okay, I'm gonna look up the answer. We've had enough monkeying around here. No pun intended. Let's see. Oh, did I close out that tab? I did. Let me get back there. Sorry, everybody. Okay, okay. Let's see here. Oh, it is that one. Okay. Let me press him. We just need to present the... Oh! Right, we even thought about this yesterday. The silk hat. Because the silk hat was found there, so obviously he couldn't have been wearing it while flying off. That's right. I keep forgetting we have the silk hat. Alright, let's do it here. I'm really glad that we don't get penalized for any of these. Unfortunately, we don't have any music right there, but we do here. Or, lots of music. You claim to have seen this exact same thing Mo saw that night. Do you stand by that? What do you mean? The silk hat. What about the silk hat? I saw it in Max's head as he flew by my window. Well, you should have tried looking down out of your window that night. That would have been quite difficult considering the state that I'm in. Just looking outside of the window was a tough enough challenge for me. That's a shame because you would have noticed the silk hat found on the scene. That's the ringmaster's hat, right? Nope. Afraid not. No matter how you look at it, this is Max's silk hat.
Where are you going with this, Mr. Wright? Are you saying that Max has 2 silk hats?
No, we made it pretty clear that, or Max made it pretty clear that that hat was one of a kind. No, this is a handmade one-of-a-kind model made only for Maximilian Galactica. Which means, Acro, that you've been fibbing on the stand.
Order! Order!
As always, it looks like someone just had to open their mouth before thinking. Are you okay, Nick? Well, that's Phoenix. Well, I opened my big mouth and now I have to back it up.
How about it, Mr. Wright? What would cause this witness to commit perjury in this court today?
Whoops, I didn't mean to click on something. Perhaps it is because Acro has a grudge against the defendant. Which is why he is trying to frame Max.
Ow! Why me? What did I do?
Never get your fat head in the way of a wit bent on finding justice. Mr. Phoenix Wright, I have no interest in your silly little theories. He has a grudge against the defendant, huh? You wouldn't happen to have proof of that? Well, that's the thing.
Mr. Wright, thanks to you, I got my head lashed by Miss Von Karma's whip. I don't like getting hit for nothing, so how about you answer with an explanation?
Are you okay, Nick? Well, I opened my big mouth, and now I have to back... Oh. Okay, here we go. Acro is the real culprit. Your Honor, on this occasion, the defense accuses Acro himself. On this occasion?
Accuses Acro? What in the world are you accusing him of?
Obviously, we accuse him of the murder of Mr. Russell Berry.
Mr. Wright, are you serious?
Deadly serious, Your Honor.
Ha ha ha.
I think your trips to the circus have served you well. You seem to have learned how to try and grab at an audience's heart and minds. Your Honor, don't allow yourself to be swayed by theatrics. Trying to wow the crowd with smoke and mirrors is the oldest bluff in the book.
Really?
If you don't believe me, just look at the witness. Oh, he's really calm about this. He's calm enough for it to almost be scary. Usually our witnesses get really, unnerved on the stand. He is staying rather calm and collected. And this bird is pecking our face.
Mr. Dingling, do you have any response to the defense's accusation?
I don't really need to say a thing, do I?
What do you mean?
Everyone, take a good look at me. I can't even stand up by myself, let alone leave the lodging house.
That's true.
So if you can't leave the lodging house, then why would you ask Regina to meet you outside the lodging house? That I still am wondering about. I understand that Mr. Wright is just trying to help his client. But to do this by accusing me of a murder of all things... See, even a sliver of common sense makes it clear the accusation is ludicrous.
She's right.
Way to pick on the disabled, you heartless, cruel man. Phoenix is a poopy head. See that, Mr. Phoenix, right? If you're trying to drum up support from the peanut gallery, that's how you do it. I think that's enough of this little game. I've got a doctor's note to confirm that Acro is unable to stand under his own power. Maybe the defense is planning on making a claim to counter this as well? I can hear the defense now. Acro had an accomplice.
What do you say about this, Mr. Wright? Did Acro have an accomplice?
I'm gonna say yes. I have an idea. It's impossible for Acro to be the murderer in this case. If that's the case, then it's natural for one to consider possible accomplices.
You don't say.
Not good, not good. This isn't going to end well. Oh. Don't tell me you think you're going to get off easy. What? You must not have heard that sound just now. Maybe it wasn't clear enough. The sound of you falling into your own trap can be hard to notice sometimes.
Mr. Wright, it seems as if you won't be stopping at Acro, but will be making other accusations. If Acro did not have an accomplice, things are not looking good for you.
I understand, Your Honor.
Gulp. Very well, let's continue. Who, perchance, would happen to be Acro's accomplice?
I don't know how quite yet, but I am suspecting it's this monkey. I'm gonna try presenting this.
You don't say!
Uh-oh. This is suddenly looking very, very bad. No. Oh! We need proof, okay. I thought that was like a that was like a losing thing. I didn't read all this stuff there. I'm not with it today, apparently. Oh, man, do we have any proof of this? I don't know. Like, who else could it be? Like, could it be... I really don't see who else it could be at this point. There's no shiny stuff here, right? Except for this, maybe. I don't really... Alright, I'm gonna look it up. Oh, the answer was of course he didn't. Alright, well, we're just going to have to present something bad here. Alright, the sound of us receiving a penalty. It's hard to miss that. Okay. So I think we're supposed to insinuate here that Acro did this all by himself. Now then, this must be when we get to hear the name of the mystery accomplice. Not this time, Von Karma. What? You're not going to sucker me into this one.
What are you blabbering about, Mr. Wright?
There was no accomplice. Acro planned and committed this murder all by himself. Alright, I'm curious to know how this is even possible.
Order! Order! What are you getting at?
Way to keep them on their toes, Nick. Now I'm going to have to prove how it all fits together. I have to show how Acro murdered Russell Berry. Can you do it, Nick? Can you really do that? I know what I can't do. I can't stop now. If I stop attacking, I'm doomed. Alright, then let's do it. Mr. Phoenix Wright. If this witness is the killer, then his eyewitness account is all lies, right?
Mr. Wright, I'd like you to clear something up for me. When the crime was committed, exactly where was Mr. Dingling?
Ooh, are we supposed to insinuate it's out? Oh. Wait a minute. Hang on a sec. We heard a thump noise. Hang on. So, we saw that the ringmaster was like hunched over the box, right? So I don't think the box would have hit him on the head. But what if Acro stayed in his room the entire time and he dropped something that was heavy enough to conk Russell on the head, and then, you know, this could actually explain a lot of stuff. Sorry, I'm processing this right now. So here's what I think happened. I think Acro was here in his room. Russell was out here. Acro thinks that it was Regina out here. And so he hears someone going outside to where the box is. And the box is basically meant to be the point where the object would fall. It's basically a giant trap. Someone goes outside, tries to open the box up, and then he drops something on them. And in the meantime, he has this contraption that he can hoist up that's tied to something that makes it look like a person, like a mannequin or something, with Max's cape and hat, or something that looks like a hat. I could see this being plausible. I'm going to say that Acro was in his room. He was obviously here the entire time.
That's Acro's room?
Pretty simple, eh? Acro wasn't able to leave the lodging house by himself. In that case, there can be only one correct answer. Acro didn't leave his room to kill the ringmaster. Oh, I thought he was about to say something else. Acro didn't leave his room to kill the ringmaster.
What?
Are you nuts?
What say you, Mr. Dingling?
Still very calm and cool about all this. It's an interesting theory. That's it? Considering that what you proposed is impossible, yes, that's it. What do you mean by impossible?
Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor.
As the witness has stated, your assertion is impossible. As he is in a wheelchair, there's no way he could go to the scene or be the killer.
You've got a point. It seems you've forgotten once again, Mr. Phoenix Wright. The defendant was clearly spotted at the scene of the crime. That's true. Most of these saw Max, didn't he? Yeah, see, look, that looks like somebody pulling up on something. But Maya, it's still impossible for humans to fly. Do you mind if I ask a question, Mr. Wright? What is it? I understand some of your logic. However, how do you think that I killed him? If I can't leave my room, I obviously couldn't wear Max's costume. See, I don't think you need to wear Max's costume. How did he do it? That's the next course of this legal buffet. Be careful, Nick. If you mess up here, She's right. I can't mess up here. I've got to give this one some serious thought. I'm sure that Acro killed the Ringmaster, and he did it while he was in his room. No doubt about it.
Time to enlighten us as to how Mr. Dingwing committed the crime, Mr. Wright.
Ooh. I think that he dropped the bust. I feel like that's what it is. I'm going to present some evidence.
So what did Mr. Dingwing use to commit the crime of murder against Russell Berry?
Let's see if this is right.
What's that? A picture?
It is indeed. The problem is with the item that's shown in the picture. Okay, I think this was correct.
The bust?
It's quite a large bust, and because it is life-size, it is also very, very heavy. Wait, life-size? So that's as big as Max's head? I thought that was like, just as, I don't know, maybe 2/3 the size.
Heavy?
Heavy enough to guarantee a certain death. Especially if it was dropped from a 3rd-story window.
Ah!
Uh-oh, he's serious now. See? This is how Acro was able to kill the Ringmaster. With the force of gravity and Maximilian Galactico's ample bust.
Order! Order! So you're saying the bust fell onto the Ringmaster?
A rather simple crime. Even if you were stuck in a wheelchair, it would be incredibly easy to commit. How could you possibly wheel a wheelchair with something so heavy? It's impossible. Well, Acro is an acrobat. He should have more than enough upper body strength to carry something like the bust.
Mr. Dingwing, how do you respond to these charges?
Well, Acro's at a loss for words. He should be. He knows that I'm getting close to the truth. Well, 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 Acro. You can't run away from things this time. Ow! I'd watch what I say if I were you, Mr. Phoenix, right? Well, what? Your Honor, the physical health of the witness is material to this case. I demand that we get proper testimony from the witness himself.
Testimony, you say?
Von Karma. She's just using this testimony as a ruse to stall for time. There's absolutely no need for such testimony. The defense has its version of the murder. The prosecution has the right to respond.
The defense's objection is overruled.
Why can't he see things my way once in a while?
Mr. Dingwing, I'm sorry, but we need you to testify about your physical condition. If you have any doubts about your ability to testify, we can request expert testimony.
The witness will have no problems. However, let's all be respectful towards him. Thank you. Arrgh, that woman will sink to any low to win a case. Acro's physical state. I suppose I could have lifted something the size of that bust. I have a strong upper body from working as an acrobat, and only my legs were injured. However, lifting the bust and looking out the window would have been impossible. There's no way I could have exerted that kind of force on my lower body. That makes it impossible for me to have known the location of the Ringmaster's head. Thus, it would be unrealistic for me to drop the bust on him, don't you think?
I have no doubts in regards to this witness's testimony.
It was impossible for him to lift the bust and stick himself out far enough to look. Not to mention that he could not have known the location of the Ringmaster's head. A single false step would have led to even more severe injuries.
That's what I was thinking. What is your opinion on the matter, Mr. Wright?
I'd still like to proceed with my cross-examination. He's simply stalling. It's shameful, really. Grr, I can't let her get to me. I've got to focus. Okay, so I think the answer to this is that Acro put the box out there in a certain spot where he would practice dropping stuff. And then all he would need to do is just toss it out in the exact same way. But I don't know how to present that. Do we need to present the box here? I'm going to try that. Yeah! Oh, man. I did not know if that was correct or not. I'm so happy that was right. Acro, You didn't really need to lean out of the window, did you? What are you driving at, Mr. Wright? You already knew ahead of time where the ringmaster's head was going to be. Quite precisely, I may add. Your silly hinting at things is pointless, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Enough stalling. How about you show us some evidence? Ooh, that's like a very Edgeworth animation there, with him leaning forward and pounding his fist. But I did such a good job hinting.
Yes, yes, yes! Hurry up and explain things, Mr. Wright!
Maybe you should take a look at this. Well, I guess we could have presented the photo too, maybe? The key point here is the wooden box. The same wooden box that the victim was found hunched over.
The same wooden box that the victim was found hunched over?
The same. The question is, who placed the wooden box here?
Who?
When Ben and company saw the ringmaster, they didn't see him holding the box. Which means that this wooden box was already placed at the scene of the crime.
I have to admit that your theory makes a lot of sense.
The moment that the bus came falling down was exactly the same moment that the ringmaster lifted up this wooden box. Which means that the answer to all these questions is now crystal clear.
You mean... If the bus were to fall upon the point marked out by the wooden box...
There would be no way that it could miss the head of the victim.
No. Order! This is unbelievable!
Finally, some of these loose ends are starting to tie themselves up. Now I just gotta keep going, and there's only one way to go from here, forward.
So the next question I have is, who placed a wooden box at the scene?
It was Mr. Dingwing, of course. He connected it to a rope, and then all he had to do was lower it down. Ow! Allow me to whip some sense into you. Mr. Phoenix Wright. Ow! 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 The ringmaster's head could have been anywhere when he lifted the box. That's why the box was so specially made. Specially made? Indeed. It had the most peculiar feature. Yeah, this was interesting. Let me just look at the box again, because we know that it's just the pepper in there. I'm gonna say the weight. Let's try that. The box has a remarkable weight. Weight?
According to the court record, it weighs 20 pounds.
Just to lift up this wooden box would have required...
Oh, I see. One would have to squat down and lift it up with her body, wouldn't you say?
That's exactly what I was trying to point out. The box is also very large.
The box also has carrying handles on either side, doesn't it?
That is correct. To lift up the box, you'd have to squat down. Which means that no matter who you are, your head would be in approximately the same place.
Fool!
Still really calm here. Does he even bother to listen to me anymore? I've heard what you've had to say. I must admit, I'm shocked at your imaginative skills.
Did you do it? Did you place this wooden box in the plaza?
Mr. Wright may have a vivid imagination, but I could never have done what he's proposing. What? Mr. Wright, do you recall the original location of Max's bust? Of course I remember. It was on top of the table in the cafeteria.
Then what happened to it?
I'd like you to remember one important fact, Mr. Wright. I could not possibly leave the lodging house by myself. Ah, that means... You understand what I mean, don't you? I may very well have been able to drop the bust from my room. However, how would I have gotten the bust from the cafeteria to my room? Okay, I think this is where the monkey would come into the picture. You see, Mr. Phoenix Wright, explain that! Don't forget, you said there was no accomplice. Arg! Tell us exactly how the witness would have carried the bust from the cafeteria. Yep, we definitely have a problem here. But this is no place to get perplexed. I've got to get my wits about me and prove how things happen once and for all.
Alright, Mr. Wright, let's hear your explanation. How did the witness get the bust from the cafeteria back to his room? A monkey?
Everyone knows Money. He loves shiny objects of any size.
Oh, like when he stole the ventriloquist's ring.
So, are you saying the witness had a monkey steal the bust? Of course he didn't order the monkey to steal it. The monkey stole it on his own, and then brought it back home.
Home?
Money lives in Acro's room.
Acro's room?
But the bust was bronze, wasn't it? Bronze isn't all that shiny. Maybe you should put the whip down sometimes and read the court record.
My, those are some very nice cards he's holding.
Yes, and they are made of platinum, which is very shiny.
Gwa!
Acro! Money is a strong monkey, right? It'd be easy for him to bring the bust back to your room. If he wasn't able to handle that himself, I'd be on the market for a new roommate.
Order! Order! I said order! Miss Von Karma, where is the bust in question at this moment?
I don't know. We're searching for it as we speak.
This is a rather strange turn of events. Let's say that the monkey had not stolen the bust. What would have happened then?
Well, in that event, something else would have been used as a murder weapon.
Wait.
That's my... wait. Then you mean this bust was a murder weapon purely by accident? It's possible. Maybe Acro saw Money's mountain of stolen goods and thought to use one of them. Anyways, I think we've more than proven one critical fact. Namely, that it was entirely possible that Acro was the murderer.
Moron! Mr. Wright's argument was so circular I'm still a bit dizzy. However, his argument does hold water. There's no denying that. Ow!
Don't seem so flamboozled, especially by this fraud of an attorney. Fraud? You've forgotten the absolute most important thing, Mr. Phoenix, right? And what is that? You should know. You forgot that your fraud of a magical client was spotted at the scene of the crime.
Ah!
There is no reason to doubt the clown's testimony.
That's true. How do you respond to that, Mr. Wright?
Nick, don't let her beat you now. I won't. This is my chance to turn this trial around. You could even say turn about. When the murder occurred, there were two people at the scene of the crime. One was the victim, Russell Berry, and the other was the murderer himself. Answer this and only this, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Who was the murderer the clown saw? Ooh. It wouldn't be the monkey, would it? Like... Hang on a sec. I actually don't know. Would it be monkey? Or money? Monkey. Monkey the money. I'm gonna try that.
What is this supposed to mean?
Uh-oh. This is... Yeah. Okay, I don't actually know. Two people. See, I'm wondering if maybe it was the bust. Because you could have easily draped this in a cloak and made it look like it was a person. And it would actually make a lot of sense, now that I'm thinking about it, because we did hear one of them, was it Mo, who said that I could see the outline of Max's face? Like, somebody said that. I'm going to say it was the bust, and somehow it was hoisted back to the room, and it had a cloak attached to it. And it made it look like Max, and that's why we never saw the white roses, because there's no white roses in there. I'm gonna say that. He saw Max's butt. Ow! I asked who was the other person Mo saw on the scene. That evidence has nothing to do with the question. Oh, I think it does. We have different dialogue. Au contraire, mon frère. It does indeed have something to do with the question. Mo said that he saw Max's silhouette. Yep. But he did not actually see the man himself. It wasn't a human being he saw.
How was that possible?
It's simple, really. What Mo actually saw that night was Max's bust. What are you talking about? Have you tried using your brain at all in this case? The silhouette he saw was wearing a cloak. There's no reason why you couldn't attach a cloak to the bust. It would be easy to hang one off the cards in the bust's hands. Idiot! Who in their right mind would put a cloak on a bust? It doesn't matter who put it on the bust.
Just wait a minute now, Mr. Wright. Who put the cloak on the bust? A question is of the utmost importance to this case, don't you agree?
Oh, he caught me.
So let's have it, Mr. Wright. Who put the cloak on the bust?
Are we supposed to insinuate that it's Acro? I mean, if Money brought the thing back to his room, then he would have had to have done it there, right? I'm just gonna say it's Acro. I wonder, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Didn't the defendant wear his cloak the entire time he was at practice? Oh. Never mind. So... it's not the Ringmaster, is it? Like... did he have a cloak? I'm gonna say it's the Ringmaster, but... because we know that Max went to the Ringmaster's office. He left his costume there, and then that disappeared. I'm gonna say... okay, yeah, it is the Ringmaster. I had to check, because at this point we're about to lose.
Fool! Him? You are saying it was the victim himself? Russell Berry?
That's what I'm saying.
The victim himself placed the cloak on the bust?
Place the cloak isn't really the right way of putting it.
Then what would be the right way of putting it, Mr. Wright?
Explain yourself. Nick, do you really have a handle on all of this? I'm fine, Maya. I'm finally putting all the pieces together. There's really only one picture I can paint anyways. Alright, so you want to know what really happened that night. Let's step back in time. Acro used a rope to lower the wooden box onto the scene. Then he attached that rope to the bust, and dangled the bust out of his bedroom window, directly above the wooden box. At the same time, the Ringmaster told Max to wait in his room and went to the scene. Of course, at the time, the Ringmaster was wearing Max's costume. Perhaps he didn't want anyone to recognize him that night. But just as he feared, he was spotted at the entrance of the lodging house by none other than the ventriloquist and his puppet, Ben and Trillo. When the Ringmaster arrived at the scene, he bent over to lift the wooden box. And that's when Acro took his chance and released the rope. Now this is when the magic happens. At the very instant that the bus hit the victim, quang.
You wait just a second there, Mr. Phoenix Wright.
Yeah, I gotta say, that's a little implausible. I feel like it's a little more plausible to say that maybe it was just a random cloak that had no roses on it, right? Like, I don't know. As much as you try, as much as you scheme, this just isn't true. It can't be. It's still a little early to be getting so upset, Miss Von Karma. The circus isn't over yet.
What?
The impact of the bust on the victim threw the cloak up, which snagged onto the bust. That impact also caused the sound a certain witness heard, prompting him to take a look. That witness was, of course, Lawrence Moe Curls, the clown. When Moe looked out his window, the cloak had already snagged onto the bust. Now, having completed the crime, Acro naturally went about pulling up the murder weapon. Of course, he had no idea that Moe saw the bust being raised with the cloak dangling on it. Primarily because in his wheelchair he couldn't see out of his window. So he just kept pulling the bust up. And that is how the magical murderer disappearing into the sky came to be. I gotta admit, the whole snagging onto it thing is a little much. So you see, the only person who could have pulled this off is the one person who was able to drop the murder weapon from above the crime scene. Acro, it could only have been you. Acro's been playing mind games with all of us. He sure has. But he has come to the end of his rope now. So, what now? You've graced us with a rather long-winded tale. But do you have any evidence to prove that your fairy tale is true?
Evidence?
In this court, only two things matter. The power of evidence and the power of my whip.
Don't forget the power of my gavel as well. Mr. Wright, the prosecution brings up a good point. Can we see some evidence?
Nick, they say they want evidence. I just explained how there can only be one possible murder method, but there is still something unusual about Moe's eyewitness account. Unusual? A contradiction, actually. Okay then, use that and get us out of this jam.
That's enough talking amongst yourselves. Proceed, Mr. Wright. Present some evidence to the court that backs your claims. I want hard proof that you have unraveled the trick to this magic case.
Oh, man. I don't really know what this would be. So, I still think, and this is why I'm having trouble coming up with, like, hard proof here, I still think that the ringmaster was not the intended victim. I still think Regina was the victim, or was the person who was supposed to be killed. And Max didn't see who it was coming out there at night and just dropped it not looking. So I don't really know how I can present like hard proof of this being what happened. I'm gonna look this up. Oh. We're supposed to present this, or this, because basically we're trying to prove that the silk hats that Moe saw had to be fundamentally different from this one. That's what Phoenix was alluding to. The problem is Max's three symbols. You know, the silk hat, the cloak, and the white roses.
Those symbols were a problem numerous times during yesterday's proceedings.
Yesterday there were two contradictions in Moe's testimony. The silk hat was one, the white roses were the other. But the theory I just presented explains all of these contradictions. You fool, do you ever shut up? Max's silk hat was found at the scene of the crime. However, remember what Moe said yesterday. He testified that the criminal he saw fleeing the scene was wearing a silk hat. There's only one explanation for that. The silk hat that Moe saw was actually the bust's.
Makes sense. If you look at it that way, then he did see the silk hat. Well, sort of.
Fine, you've got one, but what about the other contradiction?
The other contradiction?
Remember what that ventriloquist said in court. He said that he witnessed white roses on Max's chest that night. But the clown's testimony doesn't match. The clown said that there were no white roses. I'd like you to try and explain that one away. Can you do it, Nick? Of course, I can explain all of it. What was that? Please recall the incident when the cloak snagged onto the bust. If the cloak snagged onto the bust, what happened to the white roses? Do you get it yet? If the cloak got snagged onto the front of the bust, it means that the white roses would end up on the back of the bust. Ah! Which explains why Mo didn't see them. The white roses were not even visible because they were on the back side of the bust. It looks more like they got smushed in on the front side from the little flashback there.
Order! Order! This is quite the shocking state of affairs. Mr. Wright's theory still sounds a bit absurd to me. However, let's just keep going down this road for a while and see where it leads.
Let's do this, Nick. Then maybe Von Karma will finally throw in the towel. Uh-oh. I don't like this. Well, so much for that theory. Mr. Wright, do you mind? What is it? You took the time to research our circus, didn't you? Well, yes I did. Is there something making you think I didn't? If you did, then maybe you'll understand why I think you're off track. Why is that? Motive. This witness feels an incredible debt of gratitude towards the ringmaster. Anyone with any relation to the circus is well aware of this. Thus, there's absolutely no way someone like this would kill the ringmaster. And this is where I think we need to prove that he didn't intend to. Your Honor, I'd like you to hear Acro's story. Learn about his relationship with the ringmaster, his life up until now. What do we do? There's no doubting that Acro deeply respected the ringmaster. Acro's motive.
It seems that this case isn't over yet. Very well. However, I feel this is a good place to take a break.
Me too.
I will listen to the rest of Mr. Dingling's testimony after recess. This court will now take a 10-minute recess.
Okay. To be continued. Well, next time we are going to prove once and for all that he did it. So until then, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Have a good one, everybody.